Good evening, folks. Hopefully the air conditioner running isn't too loud. Uh, I'm getting ready to pin some razors. So yeah, I know I skipped doing the cutting and the shaping. I'll get there, all right, and I'll show you how I go about doing that. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and do some pinning, or at least not pinning, we're gonna mock up some pinholes, I should say, better yet. So here is a set of scales, just transparent acrylic, nothing super special. Now I have already obviously cut them, rough shaped them, and then as well, I like I like leaving the cellophane on them. If I could ship these suckers out with the cellophane on them, you know, custom razors that were all covered in the cellophane without it being an issue to get up underneath the pin, which yeah, I could make a hole, but you know, to get it cut well, I would have to endanger the scales, I guess, in a way. I don't know. I've never really thought about trying it, but it would be pretty neat. Everybody likes peeling stuff. Anyways, so I've already cut and shaped and then also did my chamfering, or my, you know, the shaping. So I've went through and I've actually sanded up these all the way to final polishing by hand, the edges of them, because, you know, well, to be honest with you, the underneath the cellophane, it's perfect. So technically, the razor is, the scale is finished. It just doesn't have its pinholes yet. So what I'll usually do is I go to the front pin, or the front scale. That's always the most important. Now I can say this, that I don't do the end of it very well. I do a little bit, but not anywhere near it. I leave the very end of it rough. Let me see if I can find one that you can really see it. Well, never mind. I did all of these pretty well and didn't leave any too rough. You might be able to see it with these. You can kind of see, I don't know, the roughness there. It's not finished. So I kind of went a step further. Usually that tail end section will be not done at all. I don't do that until I've actually finished the razor and it's built. I do that because my end goal is to make it first uniform, symmetrical, as well as completely flush with the spacer, because it gives it a super clean look. And instead of trying to guess shape my spacer and put it in there and hope that it looks all right, if I just build it, then I can look at it from every angle and I can make sure that it curves right on the back. I can make sure that when you hold it like this, that it's the same height. You know, I can really dial it in. And the only way to really do that is to wait until it's done. Now I do have, you know, my mock-up bolts, which I need to make some more. But I have my mock-up bolts and those do help, but these bolts, these particular ones I didn't make. They get in the way of me actually being able to do that really well, and you can see some grind marks on there from it. I make my own with a little bit smaller. First off, it's a thinner profile, and it's, you know, it's just as long, but it's got a thinner profile on it, so I can actually get the razor bent over far enough. So let's begin. So I take the front scale, you know, and set it up. However, I take the blade I'm planning to use. I use a very, one of these long, small tipped markers. And I have white. Sometimes I'll use white. Mainly it's just black. And I'll adjust the razor to where I want it. And the idea is, and I'm trying to think it, I got it wrote down somewhere, but if you go through old scales and you get to measuring the distance of your pins, you'll start to notice that there is a pattern. Most of them, it's about the same distance, and that comes down to, you know, about 8 millimeters, or, you know, a quarter of an inch. All right, this one is. But if you go down through the other ones, it's always within the same amount of space, roughly. So me personally, I don't like them to be too close to the ends. You know, I like there to be enough room for me to make a decent sized spacer, because that is part of the accent of the razor as well. And I don't want it to be just this tiny little piece at the end, you know. So I like to be able to have the blade come back off of the end to where I think I'll want it, so I can have enough room to not just get a good pin in there, but as well have something to accent the whole piece itself. So I always make them so I can have that much room. There's enough that it goes far enough in and it looks uniform. So I try to find where I want. Is it going to look all right? Is it going to sit all right? Is the razor going to close down in and not hang out under the bottom when it's closed? That's all something that the blade fitting in there is actually something that I take care of before I even start the shaping or the layout of the scales. But once they're cut, they tend to change a little bit, slightly. So I get about how far I want, and I'll make a mark there. It doesn't have to be centered, you know. I'll make a mark here. That doesn't have to be centered. I do it on the inside, because if you try to mark the outside of the scales, especially if it's you know, like these are heavy chamfer, some of them are just irregular, some of them are rounded. Sometimes I make rounded scales, and if you try to mark center by looking at the front of the scale, it can really throw you off. All right, because because it's shaped different, you know, because it does have different chamferings, and it does have, you know, different angles, whereas the back of it is just flat. So you can actually find, you know, and I don't go by center of scale, I cock it and go by center of scale, you know, because there is a curve. So you don't want to try to center it to, you know, here. You got to make sure that you center there, and that's a big key to it all. And I'll go in and I'll make my little mark here, make sure that I got them centered. Oh, I don't mean, you're not, this part of it doesn't really matter that you see. I'm sure everyone that could be watching knows how to use a marker. Then I go over here and I've got a drill bit set up to the size that I need. And I just come in and I lay it. And usually what I'll do is I'll do a little small tap hole, just barely. All right. And then I'll hold it up to the light, and I'll make sure that when I look at it, I see that dot is in the center. And if it looks good, then I'll sink it. Then I'll go with it. But if it doesn't, then I can make small fine-tune adjustments. So yes, the carbide bit could zip through there really fast, but I make it a habit to go slow regardless of the material, because going fast, it can blow out the back side, which is technically the front of your material. It's really a big deal if you're using natural materials, bone, horn, you know, those materials. If you push that drill bit through, it's most definitely a probability of blowing through that. So then what I do is I get the scales, which I've already matched. I already match them up on shape and everything. That's part of the shaping process. But what I do is I'll come through and I'll get to where the pivot, the head part, I need those to be equal, you know. So I'll get those equal. And remember, the tail, it can be not so equal. Like right now, it's not the same, as you can see there, because I'm not done with it. That gets at the end. So I'll make sure that those are centered, and I'm squeezing here to make sure that it's centered on there. And then I just use the front hole as my guide. And there's a reason why I do that, and I don't mark center. My device is messing with me. The reason why I don't mark center on the back scale and make them set up, because what happens if I get it wrong? What happens if I'm off? If I'm off, then that could throw my razor off. That could throw my blade off. But doing it like this, I know that these are set up perfectly, and that is going straight through both of them. It's not, one isn't here, 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 you know what I mean? Like, it's just straight through. So I know that when it comes time to build the razor, it's gonna set even. So once I've tapped the holes, then I'll break out the mock-up bolts. And I typically tap my holes with a 1.6 is my favorite. Now, I use 1.6 pins. Old razors, antique razors, typically have a 1.5 pin on them. So that's where, when I'm rebuilding razors, if I'm using the original scales, I got a 1.6 on a hand drill, so I can get in there and ream it out. And I'll actually ream these a little bit too, and I'll show you why I do that in the end. So what I'll do is I'll set it up, and what this does is this actually lets me know if the blade is straight or if it's not. Because if it's straight, if the blade has been shaped properly, then when I close it, even with those two being put together as is, it's gonna go right down in them if there's a space there. And this one, it's pretty darn straight, all right? So all I gotta do is put a spacer in it, and this is gonna work. So let me find some. I don't know what I was gonna do with the spacer on that. Let's scoot back here and look in my giant box of material here. It's insane. So what we'll do is, I don't do it often, but we'll just do a spacer that is made from the same material. All right, so this is just a sheet of acrylic here. So what I'll do is I'll pinch the material with the scales, and I like to use a flat edge, one of the good edges. I mean, I can use down here where I cut as well, and just sand it smooth, which that's some ones that broke, so maybe I will do that. But nonetheless, I'll pinch it, and then I'll get it to where I like it, and I'll open and close the razor and make sure that it's not going to hit, that the blade isn't going to hit. Now once I got it there, then I can take this hand drill, I can mark the hole, right? I put the lid back on that marker. Then what I'll do is I'll come through here and try not to draw on my scales, because then sometimes it can be a pain to get it all off without being an issue. Just rough line it. I'm going to tap that again because I think I moved it. Then I'll go back over here to the drill, and I drill it while it's in big form, or tap it, because it's easier to tap a giant piece of something holding it on than to cut that little piece out and hold it with my fingers. So then I'll break out, you know, like a jeweler's salt. I've got a, you know what? You guys might be able to see this. I got a couple different vices here in the shop. One is up there. It's just a little 3-inch vise, and I've got one down here that I use for different projects. Maybe I can get that to where actually it won't. These stupid clamps. I need to. They're rubber protectors. You know, most of the time when I'm clamping something, I don't want it damaged by the teeth. And usually I'll use that vise over there anyways. Yep, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're just going to shape it anyways. So here's the spacer, bada bing, bada boom. So then what I'll do is, I don't take the plastic of it off yet, especially if it's transparent. What I do is just put it in here, use another set of mock-up bolts, try to remember what side I had on there. I still got plastic on all of it, but that's fine because it's not it's not natural material. I didn't make them. That's a whole nother ball game, which I'll make a video of that too, on how to make sure that you don't end up with gaps. So now that I got the mock-up spacer in there, oh, now it's hitting it. There we go. We can see that the blade's gonna cut or close just fine. It's going far enough down in there. It's not hanging out the bottom. The scales are cut even. Oh, well, this isn't a flat surface, maybe not. Yeah, it's not gonna do it. Anyways, so now I'll go over to, I don't know if you guys can see it in there. Yeah, you can. All right, so usually I'll go over and do like a 180 or a 220 belt. I don't need anything too aggressive because I'm just removing a little bit of plastic. That's the dust there. Nothing can be more bad for your surfaces or whatever you're working on than a dirty belt. When I do this, I won't go all the way down to, hang on. I won't go all the way down to the scale, like when I'm holding it at a sideways like that. I go close to it, and I'll show you why. And the reason why is, what I'll do is I'll stop, and then I'll notice that even though I'm pretty close over here, it'd be a little bit different over here because technically, remember, those didn't line up. So I get to looking at it from a top angle, like so, right? And then I'll look at it from the top, I'll look at it from the bottom, and then I'll look at it go in that direction and see what I really need to do. What do I need to take off? Do I need to take off more of a one than the other? Right now, let's see. And once again, I will be here again more than likely after the razor is built, because then I don't have any mock-up bolts getting in my way. close enough for now. So bada bing, there. That razor can be pinned. Do some hand sanding and shaping on the tail, and she's ready to be honed up and put up for sale. So, and then I'll just repeat that through all of them. And I'm building, oh shit, I didn't have, I don't know what, there it is. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7 more to do. And oh, and a pocket knife. I redid a pocket knife. I believe it's an F herder. You know, so it's a razor company's pocket knife. You know, most razor companies were cutleries anyways. You know, they made just like a lot of razor companies made strops. They made shears. They made, another thing I will do is on my spacer, when I take it apart after doing that first initial sand, it's still got cellophane on it. And I mean, with these are transparent, it has cellophane on it. If it's not transparent, I don't worry about it, but I'll put a dot. That lets me know, without having to hold it up there and look to see, that lets me know that that is the side that faces the front. So when I go to put it back together, it's a nice, easy little put together. So those are done. Set these off to the side with the blade, ready to go, and move on to the next one. So I'm gonna do this, and then once I'm done with the once I'm done doing the mock-ups, I'll come back through and cut a video of pinning, and you guys can see how I do that, which I believe I've made videos of this before, but it's always nice to make new ones. And you know, repetition is the key. Sometimes I may talk about something or say something that I didn't the last time, so that does help. All right, folks.